An OU student uses art to raise awareness of a heinous crime. Class times at OU could be shifting. And in Norman, a hair-raising high-speed chase. This is OU Nightly.
Trafficking is a worldwide problem that has captured the attention of OU students.
OU Nightly's Shay Awoshian introduces us to an OU student who uses art to put a face on the horrific crime.
In a room full of millennials, fun was not an option. Everyone was focused and somber as Gina Butler presented a painting and comic book that tackled the topic of human trafficking.
And it was really cool to see her process from it, because when she was telling her story about how she was first tugged, about like why did this stay with me line stuck with her.
Stay with me. 3 simple words Butler borrowed from a famous pop song by Sam Smith.
If you listen to the lyrics of the song, it's not a healthy relationship, but it's a very compelling song.
Sam Smith's words resonated with Butler.
Love initiates, love sacrifices, and love stays. And so that was when it clicked. I was like, staying is an expression of love.
And love is a double-edged sword.
Trafficking contains elements of love, and when traffickers, specifically sex traffickers, get somebody to become a prostitute for them, they do it very often by mimicking love.
Our painting is a reflection of love.
Father and daughter, that he might say to his daughter, stay with me, that they're in a park and he doesn't want to lose her and he wants to keep her safe. In the reversal, what it looks like when a trafficker says, stay with me, is just something very different from what it looks like when a father says, stay with me.
For the comic book, she is motivated by her personal life.
The emotional process that happens when a girl is vulnerable and then is kind of seduced into trafficking by a pimp. That process is not totally foreign to me. It's a process that is kind of hauntingly similar to things that happen in my life sometimes.
Gina's painting and comic book were up for sale at the event, with the proceeds going to the nonprofit organization Love 146. But those in attendance went a step further, giving away loose change because they know even a dime could go a long way in saving the life of someone affected by human trafficking. Shay Awoshian, OU Nightly.
Human trafficking is a form of modern slavery that occurs in every state, including ours. The National Human Trafficking Resource Center tracks trafficking activity in Oklahoma, and since starting the effort 10 years ago, the number reveals a problem in this interstate that is not improving. In 2015, various Oklahoma law enforcement agencies responded to 140 calls regarding human trafficking and opened a total of 42 cases. Since 2007, Oklahoma authorities have taken more than 1,000 trafficking calls, 257 cases, and nearly 400 human trafficking victims.
A dangerous high-speed chase on Highway 9 east of Norman ended safely. Cleveland County deputies arrested the driver after a chase that exceeds speeds of 100 miles per hour. The chase started with Deputy Alexandria Stazen's decision to pull over Ronald Riggs. The pursuit led through central Oklahoma late Tuesday morning. At one point, police thought they caught the driver, but Riggs wasn't finished. He stopped his car, 2 passengers got out, and the car sped away again.
Get out of the vehicle! Driver! I said driver, ma'am! Down passenger.
Riggs bailed out of the moving vehicle and continued on foot. Using a K-9 unit, the police tracked him down and were able to arrest him. He is still in police custody.
And the dust is flying on the OU campus as the university begins work on Kaufman Hall. The building is currently undergoing construction to repair the building's water and wasp problems. However, the work is sending debris and dust into the air, getting on cars in the parking lot, and more importantly, in the lungs and eyes of people walking nearby the building. While it presents a problem, Kaufman Hall employees say the repairs are welcome.
Oh, this is wonderful. I mean, the building's been very good until just the last few years when we started having roof damage, and then we started getting wasps. They fixed the roof last year, but that didn't fix the wasps.
The work will continue at Kaufman into next week.
A collection of congressional documents from late Oklahoma Congressman Mike Sinar is opening to the public April 22nd. University of Oklahoma's Carl Albert Congressional Research and Studies Center will house the collection. Representative Sinar died in 1996 at the age of 45 from cancer. As a Democrat, Sinar represented Eastern Oklahoma's 2nd Congressional District from 1979 until 1995.
They can either request copies of a document via email, or they can actually come to the center and actually examine those documents.
The Carl Albert Center is hosting a discussion panel at the OU College of Law April 21st, highlighting Sinar's work on budget politics. The early bird gets the worm. Well, maybe not. With low student success rates in classes starting before 9 a.m., OU is proposing a change. The proposal calls for classes to start no earlier than 9 a.m. and for 1 hour and 15-minute classes to start no earlier than 1 p.m. on Mondays, Wednesdays, and Fridays. The goal is to raise student retention and graduation rates and have great efficiency in the use of classroom space.
Trying to think about student success and really looking at what times students have shown in the past that they are very successful versus those times where we see students struggling. The other part is really trying to work with the overall schedule to make all students in all of our colleges' schedules work together to optimize and simplify the course scheduling so that students have a better chance to take the courses they need to graduate on time.
You can give OU your feedback at the website listed below.
Well, Joseph, it's been pretty windy outside today.
It has been. Yeah, I mean, it looks like it might rain a little bit. So, Jordan, what do you think the weather's going to look like this weekend?
Yeah, we're talking about rain coming this weekend. I'll have more on that in a minute. Right now, though, 74 degrees with a nice cloudy sky out there. A little bit windy coming from the south at about 10 to 15 miles an hour. Those temperatures across the state, though, looking great inside the lower 70s and upper 70s. Really great for this time of year. Great spring afternoon to go out. If you are planning to go out this evening, it's going to be great, especially if you're hoping to go to the Dodgers opening night. That's tonight. We're looking at 70s and 60s. It'll be a fantastic evening with some very light winds. Oklahoma football offensive coordinator Lincoln Riley will be throwing the first pitch out tonight. That's a 7:05 tonight. And then your weather headlines coming up. We've got a wet weekend. When will it rain and how much will it rain? So obviously there's a lot of rain coming this weekend. I'll have all the details coming up in just a bit. Back to you guys at the desk.
Thank you, Jordan. Well, 2 Capitol Hill High School students tried to burglarize a vehicle in their school parking lot today. Faculty members spotted and confronted the teens, one of whom had a gun. Police were called, the school was put on lockdown, and the 2 students were placed in custody. Since the incident, school administrators lifted the lockdown and released a statement saying no students were ever in harm's way.
After insisting he was not resigning, Oklahoma City School Superintendent Rob New is out of the office. Members of the OKC Public Schools Board say New is not working. Instead, the associate superintendent took over New's responsibilities. New is the hot seat because the OKCPS is facing a $30 million deficit. This shortage already led to the elimination of 208 teachers and 92 administrators.
Still ahead on OU Nightly, a massive aftershock shakes Japan after yesterday's earthquake.
Plus, Quinton and Sanders faced off yet again. We'll have a breakdown of the debate coming up next. Rebecca Walters joins us in the news center with news from last night's debate. Rebecca?
Joseph, Japanese residents are reliving a nightmare after a 7.0 magnitude earthquake struck just hours ago. That's barely 24 hours after a smaller quake hit the same area, killing 9 and injuring hundreds. This afternoon's quake has people trapped inside houses and buildings, but it's unclear whether the death toll has risen. And Democrats and Republicans alike tuned into the Democratic debate last night looking for a good fight. And they weren't disappointed. Candidates Bernie Sanders and Hillary Clinton sparred over everything from the Iraq War to the Sandy Hook shootings. The debate comes only a week ahead of the pivotal New York primary. The stakes are high because Sanders needs the primary win to keep up with Clinton. And just hours after a tense debate, Bernie Sanders was on a plane to Rome. But he's not on vacation. The senator arrived in Vatican City to give a speech this morning. Sanders issued a global call to action to address immoral and unsustainable wealth inequality. The trip comes just days before a crucial New York primary. And Jack McCullough was released from prison today after a court reopened his nearly 60-year-old murder case. Joseph.
Thanks, Rebecca.
Still ahead on OU Nightly, Scotland's reclusive monster is found.
Or is it?
We've got rain coming in the forecast for this weekend. A low pressure system off to our northwest. That's going to move into our direction this weekend, giving us a chance for a lot of rain coming up this weekend. So let's talk about this here. There's a system right there. So Saturday evening, it looks like we'll be fine for Norman. There may be a few passing showers, but the majority of the rain will be off inside the Texas Panhandle. Then once we get to Sunday morning, that's when things really start to blow up. And so you see all that rain right there, right across from western Oklahoma. That starts to move closer to us. And then Sunday, that's looking like the wet day for Norman. So then again, there's that rain right there. And so then by Sunday evening, that starts to move right into Norman. This right here is probably going to be just a little bit further to the east than what this model says right here. So this will be a little bit further to east, and we'll be dealing with some rain. So then once we get to Monday, things will kind of start to wrap up, but we'll still have rain for basically Sunday into Monday. So we're talking about a lot of rain coming in our direction. That kind of starts to move out by the end of Monday, but we have more systems behind it that'll continue to give us even more rain. So the heavy rain timing, the biggest concerns here this weekend is the potential for flash flooding and river flooding. We're not looking at severe weather, no tornadoes, no hail, nothing like that, mainly just heavy rain. So this is the timing for that heavy rain. So for western Oklahoma, Saturday night into Sunday morning, that's the most likely time for the heaviest rain. Then Sunday morning into Sunday evening, that's for central Oklahoma. That's when you can expect the heaviest rain. And then Sunday night into Monday morning, that's when you could see the heaviest rain for far eastern Oklahoma for this weekend. Now, how much rain? It could be upwards of a lot. We're talking about a lot. That has 6 inches right there in Oak City, which is not impossible. We could see that much rain out there. Now, keep in mind, this axis of heavy rain could shift to the east just a little bit, and Norman could see more than an inch. So always be prepared for that and watching out for that. They do have that flood watch out there in anticipation for that very heavy rain. So we'll be keeping an eye on it all weekend. You can follow us on Twitter, on OU Nightly. We'll be keeping you updated on there and on Facebook. So tonight, temperatures are going to be great inside the upper 60s. Clouds will be moving in though, so tomorrow it'll be 60, then 66 by noon, 70 at 4 o'clock. That very slight chance for rain, that's mainly for far western Oklahoma. Norman, you should be fine. And then those highs tomorrow, we will reach the 70s despite the clouds. So we'll reach pretty warm. Now, if you're planning to go to the tennis game, OU tennis game, Sunday at 1 o'clock, be prepared for heavy rain. You do need to bring the rain jacket. You're probably going to have some heavy rain possible. 60s and southeast winds right around 15 to 25 miles an hour. And then on Saturday, there's that chance for rain. Sunday, 80% chance. Monday and Tuesday, a 60% chance for rain. So we got a line of rain coming in the forecast. And then it kind of starts to wrap up on Wednesday. But again, you know, we've been dry and now we're getting wet. So getting ready for a lot of rain, make sure you got the rain boots and make sure you have the rain jacket.
Yeah,
you
like
are going to need it.
Next week alone, that kind of like doubles like we had like the first 2 months of this year, isn't it?
Pretty much. We could see that much.
Yeah, well, after the fires earlier this week, that rain is certainly welcome.
Yeah,
Thank you, Jordan. A survey team in Scotland found the Loch Ness Monster. Well, a fake Loch Ness Monster, that is. This 10-meter prop was used in the 1970 film The Private Life of Sherlock Holmes, but sank during production. The fake Nessie was found by Munnin, a robot used by the survey team. And that's it for news this Friday night, but don't leave just yet. Big Friday Sports is on deck.
Yet again, 2U athletic teams are sitting at the doorstep of a national championship. Blakely, what can you tell us?
Thanks, Joseph. That's right, a big weekend for both men's and women's gymnastics. We'll preview both teams as they are competing for national titles this weekend. You won't want to miss it. Big Friday Sports is coming up next.
Welcome aboard. She's Blakely Durham. I'm Carson Williams, and this is OU Nightly's Big Friday Sports. We have a full weekend slate of Sooner sports, more Johnny Manziel news, and an NBA playoff preview ahead of this weekend's opening round action.
But first, the men's gymnastics team is kicking off their big weekend today in the NCAA prelims. The prelims began at noon, and the men came out on top. OU advanced to the championship round after coming in first place in those prelims with a score of 441.2. 15 points behind them was Minnesota, coming in second, and Penn State rounded up third place with a score of 423.9. Both teams will be advancing to Saturday's championship round as well. The Sooners will compete for their 10th national championship tomorrow night.
A big weekend for both the men and women's gymnastics team. For more on the two top-ranked squads, here's Lindy Simpson.
Both men and women's gymnastics are competing for a shot at the national title. On the women's side, it's a chance for redemption as they compete tonight in the semis at 7 o'clock in Fort Worth.
Going into this year, it's a completely new team. It's a completely new atmosphere in the gym, and we're just so excited for this nationals because really it's a brand new experience for all of us together.
A lot of pressure, and it's a little nerve-wracking just because it's our last meet, so it's very bittersweet, and everyone's super excited, and we want to go out on top, and we're going to do everything we possibly can to make that happen.
The men have a different approach. For them, it's all about defending their title. One tool of motivation is seeing how hard the women are working to achieve their goal.
I mean, we're doing something right. But well, they work at a different time than us too, but just seeing them, knowing that they're pursuing their national championship and we are too, just kind of not like a battle, but more like oh, like if they're stepping it up, we got to step it up. Like it just kind of motivates us to do better, and I'm assuming it motivates them to do better as well.
We will have a full update on both teams Monday on OU Nightly and Sooner Sports Pad. Lindy Simpson, Big Friday Sports.
Thanks, Lindy. And right now, you are looking live at the OU softball complex. The Sooners are playing the Texas Longhorns, and they currently lead 4-2 in the bottom of the third. Upcoming for the team, they've got another game at 6:30 tonight, and they'll finish up the weekend series tomorrow at 2 p.m.
The Oklahoma baseball team has won 7 of its last 9 games, including a 15-7 outburst against Wichita State on Tuesday. Tonight, the Sooners open up a 3-game weekend series in Fort Worth against 7th-ranked TCU. Game 1 will begin tonight at 7 and will be televised on Fox Sports 1. Tomorrow's game is set for 3 o'clock on Fox Sports Southwest, and Sunday's finale will start at 1 p.m.
Men's tennis is in action today at 6 p.m. against the Baylor Bears. And big news for senior Axel Alvarez, he has a chance this weekend to break the record for the most singles win in OU history. He has 114 right now. He needs 2 more to break that record. Team plays again on Sunday against number 10 Texas Tech at 1 p.m.
The Oklahoma women's tennis team will host number 33 TCU and number 14 Texas Tech this weekend. Tonight's student night match against the Horned Frogs will begin at 6, while Sunday's senior day battle against the Red Raiders will start at noon.
And still to come on Big Friday Sports, we'll tell you what kind of trouble Johnny Manziel got himself into this time. And we'll give you the rundown for the NBA playoffs. We'll be right back. Stick with us.
Welcome back to OU Nightly's Big Friday Sports. Blakely, no matter how hard he tries, or doesn't try, it seems like, Johnny Manziel just can't keep his name out of the headlines.
That's right, Carson. More controversy surrounding Johnny football, and this time it's going to cost him. Manziel has been accused of causing extensive damage to a rental house he spent the weekend at in LA. Damages came after one of Manziel's many parties, and it's suspected that drugs and alcohol were involved. The owner of the home is seeking nearly $20,000 alone in damage and replacement fees. Overall, the owner wants $30,000 from Manziel because of all the extensive damage.
The NBA playoffs begin this weekend with a full slate of games to fill your basketball needs. In the West, the Thunder will open up against the Dallas Mavericks. Game 1 will be Saturday at 8:30 on ESPN. Steph Curry and the Warriors are facing off against James Harden and the Rockets. And for the 19th consecutive year, the Spurs are in the playoffs and will take on the beat-up Memphis Grizzlies. And former Sooner Blake Griffin and the Clips will play the Portland Trail Blazers. In the East, LeBron James and the Cavs match up against former Thunder guard Reggie Jackson and the Detroit Pistons. 2-seeded Toronto Raptors will host Paul George and the Indiana Pacers. Dwayne Wade and the Miami Heat will take on the Charlotte Hornets, and the 4-5 matchup includes the Atlanta Hawks hosting the Boston Celtics.
Well, more news on the NBA, Carson. They recently announced that starting in the 2017-2018 season, teams will be able to put small ads on their jerseys. The ads will be 2.5-inch squares sporting a sponsor's logo located on the left side of the jersey. The NBA will begin a 3-year trial period to decide whether or not they will make this a permanent deal.
Speaking of money, the Staples Center alone sold $1.2 million worth of Kobe Bryant gear during the Mambas goodbye game Wednesday night. According to ESPN, it is the one-day sales record for any arena in the world. Bryant capped off his legendary career by dropping 60 points on the Utah Jazz.
And switching gears to baseball, Washington Nationals' Bryce Harper hit his 100th home run in style. Not only did he become the 8th youngest player to reach 100 homers, he did it in grand fashion. Harper's 100th homer was also his first Grand Slam ever.
And finally, the not top play of the week. Mets Marlins from Wednesday, top 8. Ichiro Suzuki pops up down the third base line. Mets outfielder Yoenis Cespedes tracks it down and leaps over the wall into the crowd. Really a lose-lose situation for Yoenis Cespedes, who crashed into a bunch of fans and also couldn't come up with the grab. All good in the end, though, as the Mets went on to win 2-1.
Thank you so much for watching Big Friday Sports. Good night.
Have a good weekend.